Tertúlia.
Good afternoon to you all. Today is Sunday, August 21, 2011. The entry is 2030, 4 pages, 50 ologies and 19 maxima. I would like to call your attention that there are 11 maxima in the division detailism. Now the topic is rare innate self-thosene. The subdiscipline is self-thosenology. The definition is the rare innate self-thosene is the neo-verpon, neo-construct, neo-idea, neo-concept, neo-reasoning, neo-reality regarding the inductive cosmoethical indicator for the intraphysical consciousness, a previous student at the intermissive course to reach an essential evolutionary decision towards the immediate future, especially concerning the execution of the existential program self-proexis in the current human life. The acknowledgement of the lucid consciousness to have completed the intermissive course, the basis of the self-proexis gained by mapping the para-hometown, the rooted idea of the consecution of the personal existential program, the personal world-oriented experience based on unique innate concepts, the cosmovisionological intermissive para-reflection. Now, in argumentology, in the topic advanced, there are 10 exceptional strong trait concepts under ologies, more difficult to be identified in the condition of neo-thosenes, neo-verpons, new constructs, new ideas, or innate neo-reasonings in the micro-universe of the intraphysical consciousnesses, which is the inventory of the terrestrial mentality mega-discernment in 2011 under 3 different conditions. And here there are, first condition, serioxological rare innate self-thosenes. The second condition is extraphysiological rare innate self-thosenes. And the third one is the intraphysiological rare innate self-thosenes. In referenciology, there are 15 entries, of which we would like to point out the following: priority self-thosene, pre-rhythmatic background, para-hometown analysis, intermissive incubation, and intermissive inner recycling. Now, in the emphatic sentence, the rare innate self-thosene in any of the 3 presented modalities always shows elevated paraperceptibility regarding holomnemosomatology of the intermissive consciousness. Have you brought to the present human life any rare, innate idea like those analyzed here, of which modality? Now, questions. I have seen many documentaries where certain areas of the brains are stimulated and the person can have the autoscopic feel. What would you talk about that? I think that all this is rubbish because it has nothing to do with projection. The relation is minimum. The projection is based on self-experience. We have to talk to those who have already had the experience. If we deal only with the brain, it won't solve anything else. The real thing is the para-brain. So the person there has to study the para-brain. Let's see what it will lead to. Anyway, they are really making efforts. Of course, studying the brain is important, but it won't solve anything concerning this matter. Now, could you give tips on authors and routes? What should I study concerning this subject? Well, the only thing that I would like to recommend is the books of Comfort. He has written many books on sexuality. He's got an open mind. So I think his books are better. But concerning the evolutionary process, when you deal with sexuality, it's a big, major problem because it attracts most of the intruders. I have given courses for 15 years so that people could deal with this reality, and I could talk about these topics without creating problems. And I gave this course in Brazil, abroad, with over 200 women, 200 men, and it was a 6-hour course. When you give a book as a gift, what's the finality, the end? No, I mean, the end when I give books is to receive hetero criticisms, because I think it's very important. I think it's invaluable. And the person will either debunk the work or admit the reality. So that's why I think it's important. If the person is sincere and logical, the person will come to a conclusion, whatever that may be. Right after the closed circulation of energies and the energetical exteriorization, I have been able to project myself. And last night I almost did that, but because of my breath I wasn't able, and I really felt I was going out of my body. But I think that my breathing really hampered my projection. What could I do? What you have to do is you have to see how your lungs are. If you smoke, if you have already smoked. So what you have to see first is your lungs, how the situation is. People say that the closed circulation of energies predispose the development of parapsíquism, but I think that in my case it's the exteriorization. I think that it's no big deal. The main matter here is to work with your energies. It doesn't matter if you are doing that inward, outward. You have to deal with the energy, and you have to master the cosmos with the energy. That's the way. When I was a child, I was very sick. I used to stay on bed, and I had the impression of getting out of my body, and I thought that I was going to fail or shock, break things. But it's a matter. I think it's a case of hallucination, because the projection is more lucid, more logical. Yesterday I was very surprised when you told someone that the person had to do 6 complementariums in a row. If somebody has never done anything concerning parapsíquism, what would you recommend? Yes, I recommended that 6 complementariums to this friend of mine who was a hard-shelled person in dealing with energies. But you gotta come here so that I can analyze you to see what your case is. We can't say anything before, so we have to see how the victim is, and we have to see to make experiences. And I think that I have even been a little bit condescendent, because these 6 complementariums is just to get started. Some people need 6 lives. 6 lives. Instead of only 6 complementariums, 6 lives to start feeling anything. But in your case, we need to look into it. We have to see the group karma and the ego karma. We have to look further, explore your case. We were talking about the monarchs. And here, these gloves were bought at Covent Garden in London. And because I'm feeling cold here, it was 14 degrees Celsius outside, 18 here, but last night it was 6. But, okay, go on. On page 38 on Codicology, you talk about the unusual items of the Personal Code of Cosmoethics, revealing subtleties of evolutionary self-discernment. to have a personal code of cosmoethics is already something very remarkable. What else could you talk about that? Yes. Concerning this evolutionary discernment, the personal code of cosmoethics shows some things, but it won't show your cognitive process, but it amplifies your cognitive parapsychism, the subtlety of the paraphenomena. You have to see that the cosmoethical part sometimes will heighten the lucidity of the person to understand the awareness. So pay attention. But to read this, you have to pay attention, because it's the real matter here is on the topic advanced, the rare innate self-thosenes, but you can't come to the conclusion that it was only me who dealt with that. There are many other people who have coped with this idea, with lucidity, the rich of this topic, but see referentiology, what I am talking about, the intermissive induction, the initial induction, the holothosenic inductor, the changing intermission, the interphysical, the intermissive inner recycling. So it all calls the attention to this parapsychic lucidity. Here on page 40, the block B, number 8, pre-maternology, the exceptionality of the extraterrestrial manifestation. I have never seen someone talking about this subject. Yes, you have already talked about that. You talked about that yesterday, but I would like to know the following. The EM came to you and you were his pre-matter, but that may be that other people from his previous planets came to the Earth. Yes, everything points to that, but I didn't know anything about that because I was really very busy with him. I was saturated. I was taken up by this process, so I couldn't really look into this broader process. He was above average. What happened in his case? You know, he was just a mere engineer of Furnas. Furnas is a Brazilian energy transmission company. So he underwent this experience so that people from his planet could understand how it was all about, how it was to adapt oneself to the humanoid process. And do you think, Professor, about that having undergone this situation, he could be a pre-matter in the future? Yeah, but he's studying this now to amplify later on, and he will have more notion. He will have maturity, competence. He will develop all these processes, what he could offer to these people, his friends. It's much more than only a pre-maternology based on one person. What he's dealing with is with basic stuff that will serve to everybody. So he will most likely be a specialist in the subject. Yeah, most likely. But I have already attended to interviews of over 6 hours. Let's see what it will happen concerning this subject. And there is another one about Zephyr. The one with Zephyr, it has been shot 20 hours with Zephyr, so with all kinds of questions you may think of. Professor Waldo, page 37, last line. This rooted idea of the consecution of the personal existential program. So everybody who has a proaxis has that. Well, no, it depends on the person. Some have this more deeply rooted, others don't. But I have already met, for example, a man who was born with the idea of doing assistance within the domain of health, just like me, but I was more geared towards studying the brain and so on. But I have already seen people dedicated to studying health very seriously. But this person, yes, that's my service. This person had this innate idea. They usually say that they have a mission. Yeah, it's something very specific. Yes, the task that is assigned to the person. But now in synergismology, the second synergism, the synergism of the continuous healthy self-thosenization. You think that it takes place from the intrusion-free on? No, even before, because it's a matter of thinking. There are many people who have never thought of intrusion and de-intrusion, but on the other hand, they have a very advanced intellectuality. Well, it could be based on that, but during a period of someone's life, it's probable, for example. But you have to see, you have to ask the person and see what it's like. When I write here a continuous, it's not easy. It's something like fixed. It's something for veterans. But before the intrusion-free person, it's possible. I think so. This Invisible College of Extraterrestriology has lots of connections with EM. He can help a lot in this context. And the people who are a member in this college, they can participate. Yes, they already know that. There are several people who are aware of that. There are half dozen people. Yes, and it's interesting to evoke EM, even though he has already been born again. Yes, no problem. He himself told me that everything I can do to help him out, we are evoking him in a very positive manner, so no problem. So EM has no extra identity, does he? No, he does not. He comes from a different planet who gave him his, this name was me, extraterrestrial mentor. That's why EM. Okay, nowadays he's a human, but he had the appearance of an extraterrestrial, extra-physical consciousness. Do you think that it could really bring problems to his current humanoid outfit? No, it won't, because this awkwardness not always helps the person. So this eccentricity will not help. It's a matter of morphology. And I think that all the mutants and even the homosexuals, bisexuals, they should get interested in this subject. Yes, the time he spent with you as being his premother, it happened to adapt his genetics to resonate here. Yes, so that he could think and what could expose the situation from the extra-physical viewpoint. But together with that, you have to remember that there is a huge extra-physical cohort following and assisting this pre-mother process. Could you tell us if he came here to have children and miscegenate? No, I don't know what he decided with the big shots up there. I don't know what he will have to study, what he will have to research, but he has to see what he gains and what he loses. Being an extraterrestrial, extra-physical consciousness, I know that he will lose some things, like his view, his very potentiated view will weaken. But I have a very vague idea that our humanoid form is better from the viewpoint of parapsychism than his previous form. And I think so that he will gain from the viewpoint of parapsychism. Professor, here on letter A, could you tell us if there were male and female people in EM's last planet? Yes, you know, it seems that everywhere there is this condition of being a male or a female. There seems to be necessary to have the gestation process to nurture and to give birth to the animal that will carry the consciousness. Now, question. What about the parapsychotheca? Could you explain that? Yes, it's like a huge library with all the details concerning people's lives. It's bigger and more complete than any other macro physics, macrotronics, and other macros and megas you may think of. So there we study the paratechnology that comes after the Earth's paratechnology. That's what it's all about. But a person who has been there, the person who comes here, the person has this rare innate self-thosene. In voluntariology, page 38, could you explain this item? Voluntarology, the item is the assignment of specific tasks of the para-volunteering to the intermissivist extraphysical consciousness, reflecting upon the innate ideas of the intraphysical consciousness nowadays. It's like this: the extraphysical consciousness performed a volunteer task in the extraphysical dimension right after the person participated in the intermissive course. And then when the person resummates, the person has the genothosenes, the genothosenity. It provokes what we call here this rare innate self-thosene. There are several new verpons, new leading edge relative truths that will come about. Now, could you exemplify this interaction, genothosenity, the interaction in vulgar genothosenity and a very rare friendship? Yes, it happens because it is the very advanced innate idea of the person, and the rare friendship is the other consciousness that is more advanced, so it will potentiate everything in terms of lucidity. There is an interaction going on, and will increase this process of the rare innate self-thosene. In paratechnology, could you further explore the paranimotechniques fixing the ideas for the future risoma? Yes, the paranimotechnique are the techniques used extraphysically so that the person can fix the ideas. These are some of the things that me, in the condition of Zephyr, worked more with. But it's exactly the paranimotechnique, and they help us fix the genothosenity for the next risoma. So it is anchored, rooted in the genetics of the person, and it will manifest from the childhood on, just like the retrocognitions I had when I was 3 years old. And in my family, in certain areas, from both my From my mother's side, there were people good at parapsychism, but nobody had what I did. And in my family, the close family, relatives, nobody had this kind of retrocognition that I had. And it was a problem because if there were more people, it would be better, but I had to come up with all the ideas all alone.
Na página 38, na neosinapsologia, você tem a fixação paracerebral.
Here you talk about the paracerebral fixation of the advanced intermissive ideas. What are the conditions that facilitate that? What is the framework that will make that happen? The first thing is not to have several pathologies concerning your brain, your para-brain. For example, if the person had in many past lives, for example, from the area of health, the health area, the person has fewer pathologies. The person has already let go of, for example, the influence, the leadership, the necessity of being a leader all the time, taking the lead. The person won't bother not appearing all the time, showing off all the time. So the person has already let go of that. And it will predispose the fixation of this parasynapses, advanced intermissive parasynapses. So this will provoke a different situation, but it's a difficulty. And we have a difficulty, for example, here. One of the things that we make more mistakes here, both men and mainly women, is to cut the people that come after the person. So because the person wants to take the lead all the time, the person will obfuscate. The person won't let the others grow, and everything is done with very skillfully, because the person is very deals very easily with all the social processes. But if you look into the situation, you will see that the person is always cutting the others, not letting the others grow and take the leads. And we have to take care. We have to watch out for the situation. When I was very young, I was aware of that, but I am already happy because in the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology I have already written Waldo Vieira, organizer, just to show that I am an organizer. And you can't say anything because I will not change that, because at this very moment the organizer calls the shots.
Usually I write Waldo Vieira, doctor, but now I'm an organizer. But in the dictionary it's only my name. I don't need to give anybody any explanation. But in the encyclopedia I need many explanations, up to 100 by now. Let's see if we reach the 500s. 500s are different. So it's very important, the formation of the casting, right? So you who are dealing with these people, you need to be careful not to cut anybody's head. You need to take care. What is the trinomial? The welcoming, orientation, and addressing, guidance. Some of the guidances are goodbye, goodbye, farewell. And there are people who don't want to be sent anywhere. Yeah, but the most serious for me, Malu, is the egocentrism and the inside leadership, the egocentric leadership. Waldo, could you give more examples of what you see within Cognopolis and ICCC of this kind of manifestation and what we could do? Well, it's everywhere, and with us mainly. Observe women who are guiding things when they are motivated? Does this reflect the check if they don't cut, if they don't put their partners away? It's a main problem of women relationship. I would like to tell you that I found out something that happened to me 60 years ago regarding parapsychism. Many of you know that I used to do medium sessions, and there were some sessions of the Caesar's house with Edmar Fernandes, other sessions with some Dominican priests, and there were also some sessions with a dentist who received messages. And some dogs appeared, and we used to open the door, and there were no dogs at all. We found out that the problem was this guy, and there was this consciousness that appeared and gave the messages through the psychic, and we made the sessions inside his dentist office, and we never found out about the dogs. I saw the dogs, and they were black dogs, and they were big. Extraphysically speaking, okay, because they were not real dogs. And there was only one door to the backyard, and there was this house with a great wall, and everything closed. So there was no way for anyone to enter there or jump in. But with time, since the first time, I asked the dentist to clean everything, to clean the plants, and see what happened. During months that we did these sessions, the dogs appeared. When we opened the door, they stopped barking. We turned the lights on, and there was nothing there. But about the man who communicated through the psychic, there was this problem with dogs. 500 years ago, and I am now clarifying a physical effect phenomenon that happened to me with this psychic, and nobody knew. Almost 54 years ago. Well, you should read the biography. This character used to live this condition when he was building a castle, and the priests of the time used to hear barks, and they found out a big dog, a big black dog, and this king told the guys to lift the dog and to keep the dog in the window until he died. And he started listening dogs barking under his room. It happened 500 years ago. So since then, until this condition that Waldo is telling us, it kept on happening. It's not good for you to evocate this thing, but it's a very interesting phenomenon. And the psychic received messages that he thought were related to his previous life. But I think that the man who communicated was the very character. But everything indicates that the dentist was the one. And he thought he was the one. That's why he asked me to make the sessions, to make his de-intrusion. So it happens during months. And it was before I met Chico Xavier, the crazy queen. Chico Xavier had been a crazy queen in his previous life. But this kind of intrusion with the dogs, did the intruders use the image of a dog? Well, yeah, but I always wanted to know which energy was that, the ectoplasm, because it was not only mine. He already had an obsession with the image of the mythological dog called Cerberus. But in that life that he killed the dog, he already had this problem with dogs when he killed the dog. Well, and there is a guy writing about this character, and it's terrific. But the intruders of that character used the symbol of the dog to start making the intrusion, right? Yeah, and he already had the obsession about dogs. But that's what is called poltergeist. I knew it was poltergeist, frightening. And when the dentist used to talk about the subject, everybody wanted to go to the session, but we didn't allow because they would get involved with this intrusion. That's why we are not talking about his name. It's very serious. And it's been 500 years ago. In his personal multidimensional, multi-existential cycle would be in the recomposition. Yeah, he's better now. He showed up extraphysically. But see how many consciousnesses involved. And I entered in this novel like a naive person. And after that, I talked to Chico Xavier because my mother asked me to work with Chico. I was not even 20 years old. But when you met Chico, you didn't know about this connection, right? Well, I knew he had been this crazy queen, but I didn't have any idea about the crazy queen with this character we are talking about. Because Laura is starting to study. For a while, she's been studying, and she has 50 movies about monarchy and 45 books on monarchy. And she brought some data I didn't even know. I'm learning with her to see what happened historically speaking. Neither of us knew that. And I told them, I remember having seen black dogs, and they are all barking and frightening. And when we started the psychography, the dogs started barking and fighting, lots of them. I could count 6 dogs, I don't know. People used to hear the dogs on the corner, and there were no dogs at all. We looked in some books, but not in history. I tried to see if the people talked about dogs in parapsychical phenomenon books. I have studied all these books to write projectology. I have analyzed 400 books, and I found nothing. But we haven't seen the history books. And by the end of the sessions, when you stopped doing, what happened? Well, I told him not to publish the book because it was terrible. The description of his life, hundreds of murderers. He was crazy because of the time he lived. We'd better not publish this material. And then I lost And I started working with Chico, and Uberaba was over to me. And I started working with the Spiritism centers. And I used to leave every week to make assistance. The Cinza's house, the priest, all these 5 places I used to work, I left to build a new house that I hadn't done before. And I started traveling with Chico. It was about 1956 until 1959. And this all happened before 1955, you see? I graduated in 1954. It was about that. I was almost 20. But I've been doing sessions since I was 10. And how did you get to know this dentist? Well, he studied with me in Uberaba. We were colleagues in the university, classmates. He graduated, made his office. He looked for me. There was this cousin of his who was my friend, who was Chico's friend also. He had like a step brother who was crazy about me. He wanted to know everything from the extraphysical point of view. He was his brother, but he was the problem because he suffered with that. That's why he asked me to make these sessions. And I started doing inside his dentist's office. It was good. The environment was fine. The dogs came after. From the first time, there were 2 people that were frightened. They didn't want to come back. Had the dogs already appeared for him? No, neither for me. I hadn't seen barking extraphysical dogs, and they had anger, attacking people. I thought there were about 6 dogs. I saw many of them, and they were black dogs. And in this book, they're talking about this, the same thing in Spanish. Perro negro, la leyenda do perro negro. The legend of the black dog. Legend, oh come on. I know what I have seen. That's what I call Maya, this ignorance regarding the reality. But hypothesis of this having been done with ectoplasm is real, right? Yeah, they showed to prove to the doctor. But all of a sudden, everything calmed down and disappeared. And I told him, now don't publish this book. It's not good. It's not positive. We were the only ones that knew about that. Waldo, what about that extraphysical animal, the panther? It's a counterpoint, right? Yeah, because it was different. The animal was existential, there were people with them, and the panther didn't need to do anything. Only the presence was outstanding. It was not easy. There was a lot of presential strength. Waldo, why do these people from monarchy, especially this one we are talking about, and the crazy queen, were reborn in Uberaba? What happened in Minas Gerais? Well, we don't know, but there are reasons we don't know. First of all, Palmério is an Italian name. He was born in Monte Carmelo. His father was my father's friend. The priests were not easy to deal with. They were from Rome, Italy, all the stuff. and they made good actions and bad actions also. And they are involved with that because of the church. There are many things. And Monte Carmelo is a name of a hill within the Old Testament. It's very strange if you start thinking our relationship with that. Nothing happens by chance. Everything has some meaning. But do you think there could be a relation with monarchy and that area? No, it's a matter of leadership. Because Mario was in that, he was deputy, he was ambassador within the worst dictatorship with the Stroessner in Paraguay. He brought Chico Xavier. I brought Chico Xavier to see him. But were there more Italians or Spanish where you lived? Well, there were more Spanish people. I remember. And they were very good people. Friends. Yeah, but there were some Italians here and then, besides the priests. And there were also the Arabians, right? Yeah, my friends were Arabs. And after Uberaba, I met CEAEC, but he was of another level. And you can see the diversity of our connections, which are multi-millionaire. Many lives we have. Waldo, you are sort of an attractor for these people, right? Yeah, up to a certain point. See, Chico Xavier, the same group was there, and I was with them, among them, to see what I could help. And the sessions I used to make with the Dominican priests. Just imagine those priests. The older ones were from Rome, and the guy that left the priest life was a French guy. He went to Paris. He left church when he saw everything. But the older ones, 80 years old, difficulty to walk, these ones, I asked them not to leave the church because they were high level and they were intellectual people. And you talked about Zephyr preparing those people to come. This attraction was a work of Zephyrus, right? Well, but there are things that we don't understand. For example, Dom Alexandre do Amaral, which was the archbishop, he had something against me. I was the president of the Spiritism Union, and he was the one who found that lady to go against me and put my photograph, my picture in the newspaper. Yeah, but everything had a reason. The church again, but why? The Dominicans have relations with the Inquisitions, right? Yeah, they are very intelligent people. We need to take that into account. They were not Jesuits. The Dominicans were more intelligent, more clever, with cultural level. The Frei Dominique was the creator of the Inquisition, and in Uberaba they had a huge church. And nowadays they still have those bells ringing, and many people go into the church. And there is this river, and you can see the church up on the hill. And I was there to show the movies about the hot waters related to nuclear bomb, hard water. Do you think that this cruelty with the dog at that time was already a psychosis he had? No, he used to tell others to kill people, to make justice, but many things were wrong. And in my opinion, many things were done despite his opinion. When people start doing bad things, others get together and get united to do bad things against. The sound of the dogs was heard by the population in the city, Waldo. No, within that place, that block, people used to hear like crazy barking dogs, you know, what we call those big, huge dogs. Black dogs. I didn't know anything about this guy. That's a surprise. Don't you think we haven't studied that? But we didn't think about studying this character's life. Because regarding this dentist, he didn't have any information. I have studied many of these consecutive personalities, like this dentist. But was the sound physical? Yes, within the place, with us, by the door, at night, in this 2 hours meeting. And the ectoplasm was terrific, yeah. And I overcame everything. And our friend got tired, he got sad, and we tried not to bring many people. Many people would like to go just for curiosity. But it's worse if you take a person who is emotionally altered, he or she may go to the side of the intruders. But Waldo, when you talk about that, the energy is positive. Of course, the energy is better now because we worked with that. But the doctor died right after. I didn't go to his funeral, but a few years later, he died. He was not very much older than me. Could you comment on that condition where the dogs are used for assistance? Yeah, there are many things like that, but I don't know. My problem is not related to dogs. My problem is regarding cats. That's why I have seen Thales. And I saw the day he had this transfiguration with lots of energies, and I had this retrocognition when I used him, the cat, to make a model, to make the gargulas. What about those dogs in the tower to help people? Well, I had this life when I had a dog. He was very close to me. And the person who killed me killed the dog together. So the dog went with me. Was it only one, Waldo? Well, maybe there were 2 dogs, but one of them was very close to me. But another person that died was our friend, the one that came here and said she would come back. Yeah, from the same episode you talked about the dogs that used to work somewhere. Yeah, there was this kind of house, was far from the road, like a manoir. It was not in France, it was in England. It was not a castle. But there were the scraps, and I used some plants to make materialization. And was there a book also there? Yes. There was also this, let's say, stone box in which I used to keep my material. By the garden, very big garden, and the crops, like the gardens we have here, huge one. And by the end, I had this meeting under the sun. There were trees planted, okay, but that's what I wanted to study, but I was not able to localize the plants, those plants that are alive during the whole year. What about the cat? Was it black? No, my cat was white. And this one was the one that transfigurated. His name was Thales. And he was a copy for me to make the models. Was the bigger than the one I had. But inside the house where there were the dogs, there were no cats, right? No cats. And the dogs were huge. Like long dogs, you know? Waldo, what is this relation you talked about Monte Carmelo, the same name in Israel where Jesus rested, and what's the relation to the attractor? Because we were born there. Well, I would like to know this extraphysically, but nobody knew if there was any relation. But historically speaking, of course there is a relation, because there is a real Monte Carmelo. Why did they put that name? Both to the hill and to the city. I had a meeting with the old people there, and nobody knew, and I asked them, what is the purpose? Nobody knew. And they knew less than I did.
Yes, they say that she chose the name, the lady chose the name, yes. Have you ever heard about this ice cream dealer? He used to stay in the square and close to the Protestant church. That was the place where we had the meeting. I participated. Yes, because historically my name Jarbas is connected with Monte Carmelo. Yes, I don't know, but everything has its reason, historic, etymological, semantic reason. But Waldo, in the case of the rhizomatic attractor, he attracts also those who are going to be born after him, yes, and those who have died before, yes, just like Talmau, for example. You have to see what Talmau had done. He introduced everybody to me and the other way around, and Monte Carmelo had already many people like that. It was a big municipality, and with the course of the time, many cities, adjoined cities, were branched out and became independent municipalities. And then Monte Carmelo became a very small city. Everything passes close, but nothing enters. Yes, Jarbas has just asked your role as the rhizomatic attractor in Monte Carmelo. So you had an influence on those who were born before, after, and at the same time as you. Yes, I had a notion. I dealt with this topic, this subject. I had something, and of course I had a bond. Otherwise, the teacher, Vicente Lopes Pérez, my preceptor, wouldn't show up here. I know there is this percentage of attraction. It has its reasoning, but from my extra-physical friends, I don't know who works more with that. I know that transmitter is not the case, but there may be other people. Yes, you talked about the intersection when people intercede on behalf of that person so that that person can participate in the interpretive course. But now, to get with this, those who had died, and in this case of this teacher, you work as the rhizomatic attractor. Yes, but Los, everybody here is an attractor of the ex-students. You, the ex-student of the interpretive course, attracts the current student of the interpretive course, and you can't welcome them badly. That's what I have been trying to do here. You have to give them a warm welcome. Now, question: what does self-thosene mean? It is the thosene related to the genetics and the past life of the person. Could you talk about the effectology items? I would like to know how the effects take place. This is a philosophy professor from São Paulo. Effectology. The effect of the personal intermissive recalls, when you remember that, it will have an impact on your whole life. Now, the effects of the intermissive induction in the existential completism. Yes, the person already has an idea of what the person has to do here, and the person really strives to put that into practice. Now, the effects of the prolonged intermission, which was hyper-lucid and cognitively prolific. It's very good, because if you are an extra-physical consciousness with your lucidity around the clock, it won't give you any problem. Much on the contrary, it will help you a lot, because if you don't have conflicts and you have lucidity, it shows that you stay your extra-physical period in a better extra-physical community. Better than this, I don't know any, because there is no paradise. Now, could you give us a hint on the topics that the intermissivists study? Yes, you have to take a look at the Encyclopedia of Conscienciology. Yes, 700 experiments also, but the Encyclopedia has more. It is said that music is important in the extra-physical dimension. Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's rubbish, because music is secondary. There are lots of songs that come from the baratron sphere. Have you ever heard about that? Yeah, so you have to think about it. I used to smoke, but I quit. I smoked for a long time, around 3 cigarettes per day. Now, if I try to do the same thing again, what should I do? Oh, yes, he was the same who asked the question number 4. It is a re-question. He is clarifying the subject. Oh, yeah, he was the one from the closed energy circulation. Yes, that's what I said. Yes, I was right. You have to check your pneumologist. Your problem is the lungs. You have to see your lungs. Now, if the group karma influences a lot the person's existential program, how to use those strong traits acquired in intermission? The strong traits belong to the person. If the person has that, nobody will snatch that away from the person, so no problem. But the question follows, yes, the problem is the pressure of the group karma. Yes, but you cannot quit, you cannot give up. Insist, and the helpers will aid you. If the intention is good, there will always be someone helping you out, even if it's a task-specific helper. Now, conscientiology says that the interphysical consciousness has undergone the animal stage, the botanic stage. Okay, but what do you want here? Is there any question there? Anyway, all of us have already been trees, animals, and so on and so forth. So now you have to take advantage of your human condition, which is the best animal you have ever been. Now, could you talk about the cycle? Preparatory, intermission, executive interphysicality, and the evaluation of the extraphysical period. Yes, I have a friend who sends me this box all the time, this big, with lots of material, so we have to be thankful to him and answer to this very carefully. Now, listen up. What happens in this case is that the intermission is where the person, before resummating here, had this period between lives, between the past life and this current one. The person participated in the preparation of the current life. And now, when the person resummates, the person has to put that into practice. When the person reaches a maturity level that the person can work with more lucidity, awareness, and so on. Now, the personal multi-existential cycle, the lives that the person has, but the person doesn't really choose next lives. It's a decision up to the maxi mechanism. Now it depends on the person's activity what the person will work with on the next lives. Most of you here who have already been in the intermissive course, from now on you will leave this decision for the evolutionologists, the Serenissimuses. They will decide what you are going to do. This is the personal multi-existential cycle of activity, which is the activity that leads the person's life, which really commands the person's life. The person acts as a mini-cog within a huge multi-existential, inter-existential maxim mechanism, which is multidimensional as well. Anything else you can just leaf through the encyclopedia. Waldo, just getting back to this question of the ex-intermissive course student and the current intermissive course student. At the intermissive course, the students that are about to finish it, do they help other extraphysical consciousnesses to get in the intermissive course? Well, more often than not, those who are in the first intermissive course, they have no background to help other people. That's why many of you took longer to come here, and I had to wait 2 generations or even a little bit more to have more mature people showing up here. So it doesn't work like that, because the person was taken aback when he was chosen to this course, because for several lives the person was really going forward by leaps and bounds, and all of a sudden the person is shown a technique to evolve, and the person has to change everything. So there is a retrospectivation of the whole thing. So the person will be just too busy. The person's trying to implement things to help himself first, because the person has no conditions to expose the whole situation and help others. But the person is not a Serenissimus. The person is a pre-Serenissimus striving to get it right. And it's very logical. There's no way out. But what I see is the following. When you go to other intensive courses from now on, you will have more opportunities to help others. It doesn't mean that you don't help. You do. But this help that is being done still has too much of your own in it. And the person is not guilty of being like that. The guilt comes from the fact that the person is at that stage of evolutionary level, but the person is completely right to act like that within his evolutionary level. But now, Professor, within this perspective, the person has taken the course for the first time. Now, to become the professor, as minimum as it may be, just for example, to have a participation, to have an intervention in the intensive course, 3 intensive courses later, how does that work? No, it's rubbish. No, it won't work because it depends on the person's condition, the person's level. It depends on each one. Each case is a case there. Because there are people who are more successful than others. So you can't really generalize this issue. It really needs an isolated case to tell. But for example, I myself started participating in several centuries back. I started seeing these things in 1100, but Zephyr has already been a professor in an intensive course. Yes, I was just an employee there, let's put it like that. But yeah, because in 1100, most people were just like these monarchs. This monarch killing people, killing dogs, killing dogs. Yeah, if it were only dogs who were killed, it would be good. Yeah, because when you see that the dogs are fighting, it means that the dog's owner aren't good, because if the owners aren't able to pacify the dogs, imagine if they will be able to pacify people. Now, Professor Waldo, in function of this dog's dog, is that why in this antagonismology, page 39, you write about the antagonism, hunters and hunted? Yeah, you say that we have been roped into the intensive course. Yes, it's very clear here. Yeah, I have nothing to do with that. What is it doing here? Yeah, because it's very serious. The hunters are those who hunt. So the intruders are looking for their victims, and it influences a lot in the self-thosenology of the person. And antagonism, it's very clear here. So a hunter is one thing, hunted is other. Don't you think that from 1100 on, I was what? I was hunted, because I had been hunted even before. But now, you, if you say that the guy is a headhunter for the intensive course, for example, you can't consider that. It's more like par diplomacy, para law. So shots are not fired. Things are different. But Waldo, 1100, it's a landmark in your holobiography, so it ends up being ours too. But was there just an external variable, or there was something that happened in our interconscienciology? Yes, the extra-physical reurbanization, but something else that happened to you, yes, when it rang a bell in my head. But what happened to you, Professor Waldo, that really allowed you to have this turning point. Yes, because I was really sick and tired of the situation. I had been killed many times, and I thought, well, but when is it going to improve? I just wanted to kiss everybody goodbye and stop the world that I want to get down because I was tired. And then I had this inspiration, this message. I was told, so Professor, it was from your demand. Yes, and they were able to see that there were many people like me. When the person got tired, so many assistants made, and it was just repeating itself without no results, no practical results being made. Nothing came out of the assistance, and then they came and told me, but chill out, calm down, there is something going on already. But don't you think, what do you think? You think that it happened to me intraphysically or extraphysically? It was intraphysically. And then, when I disseminated, I wanted to know everything about that. And then I started surveying everything up and down to leave no rocks unturned. But I never knew who was really behind all that. But I think it was a monjas group. Yes, just talking about this subject, everything changes the energy, Waldo. Feel the energy here. Yeah, if you want to, let's stop Tertúlia and just to feel this energy. Yeah, that was what the guy told me. Waldo, stop Tertúlia and just send me this energy. I told him, listen up, no way. You will have a stomachache. And it was just as I said. He went to the bathroom right afterwards. But this is more or less when the re-urbanizer started his process, and he was an extraterrestrial. But 1100, was it when he came to the planet? No, he had already been here observing everything, but he was studying how it was going to take place. But he was a Serenissimos, just like the others on the earth, but he didn't start to become a Serenissimos here. Here, there are very few people, because the earth is too young. The earth is a rookie. Yes, because they needed a team to re-urbanize the planet. Yes. The more he used people here, better, because he will prepare people from this planet, people who have had connections with him, with people with some empathy, attachment. This is when you talk about this contact with Monja in a dream, when Monja left you behind on a chariot. No, it was even older. That's why I also knew about Monja, about the fact of being my daughter, about her being my daughter. One of the best things I did was to take good care of my daughter. So if you have children, you have to take good care of them, because picture that. What if they are Serenissimos? For example, you're a woman and you give birth to a Serenissimos and you don't know that. So have you ever thought of that? What kind of regret would that be? It was like that ice cream on your forehead. So, Professor Waldo, these Adam myths, the fall of the angels and so on and so forth, they were relating to different planets, people coming to our planets. So there was a reurbanization in different planets and they came to ours. Yeah, but there are several planets. Yeah, it's the first from our planet to other planets, so it's a new process. But listen up. This is an interplanetary legend. just like there are urban legends, there are interplanetary legends, but it's rubbish. You don't have to worry about that. So it was Florian and Carla's case in Crystal Weight Seal, because they gave birth to a Serenismus and they didn't notice that. Yeah, because when the person is ill-intentioned, the person will not remember the good side, the positive aspect of it. So on both cases there was, yes, everything could be made explicit, but big problem. But Professor, could I just make one more question? That forest in Rousseliant in Britain, in France, this forest has a connotation of extraphysical work in Britain. Yes, but Mauro, there are some extraphysical and physical things that are difficult to see. For example, when I was in this Monson Park in Paris, I was in a hotel back then there, because it seems that this hotel has been refurbished, but it's one of the biggest in France nowadays. I have been there when Arthur, my son, was a little child, because we needed to see everything that was better for him, the assistance, food and so on. And I stayed in this hotel because this hotel had a better service to the guests, and it was very close to this Monson Park. So everything was closed with fence, but I used to go to the park and they let us get in because I was from the hotel, very close. The hotel was called Monson as well. And now, if that's the first time I went there with Arthur, I thought, well, I have already seen this extraphysically. That's when I started noticing that it was once the place where I went to when they told me to volitate on this lying supine with my feet ahead of me and just sliding off. But what kind of connotation is there? I have never come to a conclusion concerning that. Yes, because the extraphysical works could have been undertaken in places that could be similar to the intraphysical ones, but in this Monson case, it's a very clear thing for me. The characteristics of the environment, the landscaping, the environment, the Holocene. Nowadays I don't know, because Arthur was just a little child. It was in the 70s when we went there. Do you think that it could be in the park? Yes, extraphysically the place was different, but they copied Monson from the extraphysical process. The whole thing is extraphysical. There was a dog, a person holding a dog, and when I validated through them, because they thought it doesn't exist, levitation, people flying, they were really turning their face on us. And there was this gate leading to this construction in the middle of the garden, and the helpers told me to do that, and exteriorizing energy, but most of them there were against my presence. But when I went there, I had already had these experiences, and then I thought, well, Arthur running in the park, and then I thought, well, and that's when I remembered the whole thing, my levitation and so on. Now question, do you see any coherence concerning the planet's evolution? The planet's evolution was due to the extraterrestrials. No, the Serenismuses did some modifications, they changed some things really to help evolve, to make the human's brain evolve. I have been trying to solve out my personal problems. I have made some progress, but I, more often than not, meet pitfalls, and I have been having difficulties. I would like to see my question, but I have problems in exposing myself coherently, with firmness, so it makes my things difficult. Do you think that I could go to a therapist and deal with this? I think it's very poor. I think that you have to think big. You have to be an adult. The best is to become a guinea pig consciousness and study also the your reality in Apex. Is there someone from conscious? When will there be the guinea pig consciousness and so on? It will be on September 3 here in CEAEC, Center for Higher Studies of Conscientiology. The next existential balance will take place in Carnival Mardi Gras next year, but on demand we're going to have an event like that in Aracaju. I am beginning in Conscientiology. I would like to know if you have already heard about the medium Ana Prado. He was known by her materialization phenomena in the state of Pará. She was my grandmother, but when my family came to Rio, we didn't follow her steps. But I am not aware if I am going to suffer from this process from the extra-physical dimension. I have some power perceptions, but I don't know what could happen. I am 30 years old, and I would like to know what I could do. Come here, I will give you the whole thing. I studied this medium a lot. I knew her condition.
I had been studying her due to the Federation of Spiritism in Brazil, but I must see you and make a Voltaic arc so I can help you faster. People who treat animals like that badly could come to this condition. Does the black animal have any meaning in this whole history? Did this manifestation use more than one kind of ectoplasm to make such manifestation? Of course, there were other conditions, but I never knew who was helping. And we used to potentiate that process. And the meetings were done with lots of harmony. We didn't fight. The only fight was outside the place. Was like gravitating. I myself told him to burn the papers and not publish the book. I had already published books and I knew how to make it. I could if I had. But the book was the results of a psychography, and the chapters were horrible. So all of these things can be used as a resource, but there are many black dogs that are feared, and I saw the dogs. There was not only one. In the history, they saw only one, but in that case, I saw many of them. Question. I live in Joinville. I have a goal to make an ECP1. I have done with the IIPC from Curitiba. Would it be correct to unite other people to study the conscientiology books? What should I do? Well, if you live in Joinville, there are people there who are already studying and working with conscienciology. There are people that came here these days, right? I don't know the addresses, but you should look for that. Maybe the guys from the institute, people from the institute could tell. Do you know the address? Please, tell the person. Well, I'm going to talk. There is Celso, who is a volunteer, and also Henning. And Evaldo is also with them. In Curitiba, you can look for the Curitiba address through the IIPC website. And for the second semester, there will be free workshops. The telephone from Curitiba is code 41 32 30 5736. Could you explain in neurosynapsology, page 38, the percerebral fixation of the paraneurosynapses of Verpan? Well, when you have new synapses, which means the parabrain reality, sometimes these things fixate your mind, and you have rare innate thosenes. This happens due to the intermissive course. Okay? Regarding the effects of the intermissive visits, what indications will we have? Could you amplify, could you elaborate on the law of the parapsychical effort? Well, you should participate in every course related with parapsychism, the dynamics, and work with your vibrational state on a daily basis. That's how you make an effort. And move your energies, improve your parapsychism, and everything improves. The rare innate thosene could be considered something gained with the rebirth. Yeah, it's like the mega cone. Well, I share an apartment with my cousin because I can live near my workplace. The problem is that he does drugs, and his mother is grateful because I live with him and the environment is improving because of my energies. I have a doubt. Do I leave the place and give him a checkmate, or do I help him giving more energies? Well, the best is for you to give this checkmate, and talk to him. Ask him if he doesn't want to treat within a hospital. Don't spend time within the environment like this. If he uses drugs, there are many extra-physical consciousnesses with him. Why would you stay in an environment like this if you could leave? There are other people who want to be helped. He doesn't. First, talk to him, okay? And page 37, Professor. Letter A. Oh, I'm sorry, letter B. Yeah, B. Down B. Yeah, Professor, page 37. First, antonymology. Second idea. You talk about the common innate idea. Well, for example, don't you think you have been a woman in a previous life? Yeah, there's a chance. Do you think you have been a man in previous lives? Well, most people think they have been women. This is very commonplace. Hey Magali, what do you think about that? Yeah, I always thought that this idea could be related to the evolutionary group. Well, I'm talking about serious things. The gender, human gender. Very serious. In factology, the second one, the basis of the self-praxis gained in the origin mapping. Well, where did you come from? How did you come from there? It will show you your destiny. It gives you indications. It shows the way to follow. But you talked about the mapping. Yes, the perspection with the cosmovision, huge vision, for you to see the horizon. Well, this perspective from what we know nowadays, how can we deepen this research, know more, get to know more about this? Well, you should make assistance. Penta helps this a lot. Penta practice opens your consciential way. Yeah, one last question, please, in exemplology. Page 39. I would like to understand both examples. Well, the rare one, which is the macrosoma, and the extraphysical one, the pre-mother phenomenon. Well, could you elaborate on that? How about the pre-mother condition? Well, regarding pre-mother, it's one to know the problem of gender. The pre-motherhood, in my case, I am a man, and I served as a pre-mother to help an extraterrestrial consciousness. Think about the problem of the gender. I don't have any problem with that. I am beyond gender. I don't care about that. And I was this way since I was a child. That's the way. But with time, I was able to confirm many of these hypotheses, working, researching, helping. Although there is a technology that may help the pre-mother condition, the Japanese people have invented a machine that imitates the gestation, development of the baby, but it's not related to, this is not related to pre-mother. The pre-motherhood has no relation with the motherhood, the intraphysical motherhood, the gestation. It's more related to holosoma and holothosenity. It's from another level. Yeah, Waldo, but it's very strange. Yeah, but they are going to create all this stuff, all these crazy machines, and they will create these machines for men to think they are having birth, they are giving birth to their children. Many illusions, human illusions. Waldo, regarding pre-mother, is there any rule related to the extraphysical consciousness who is going to rebirth, be the same gender of the one who needs to be the pre-mother? No. In terms of gender, it's all secondary. That's not the way you should think. But the holosoma is the most serious thing, because that's when you see within holosoma there is a psychosoma that needs to adapt to this body And these energies that we have, that we call energosoma, this adaptation is the problem. Because that psychosoma he had in previous lives, in another planet, was not the same we have here. It had resources, gadgets, implementations that we don't. But about this gender, the consciousness does not have a gender, but there is a kind of manifestation, right? Of course, but those who come here need to be flexible. The EM didn't care about that gender. That's very serious. This problem, this gender problem, when it's related only to sex, is the most primitive problem. It's shallow within the evolutionary process. That's why I say homosexuality and people who care about this and pedophilia, these are animal resources. We should not waste time with that. There are more noble, advanced, evolutionary things. The Serenissimus comes from another planet, not from this planet. Well, we all came from other planets, not only Serenissimus. And when the Serenissimus decides to be an intraphysical consciousness, they need to adapt. No, they don't have problems with that. Only the Serenissimus have this kind of problem. Serenissimus don't have these problems. They master all these bodies. The problems are ours. They make parades for homosexuals, but they don't talk about corruption. There is no parade against corruption in Brazil. And there are people that come from abroad to tell us this stuff. I am obliged to listen to the Spanish people talk about this. So it's like a revenge, huh? Have you ever experienced any pre-mother condition? No, because this has started happening from last century. It's a matter of reurbanization. There are many new things. Macrosoma, for example, nobody talked about this. I am the one who is talking now. You have at least 3 subject matters: conscienciology, macrosoma, pre-mother. My life means nothing, but it's gonna mark forever. There's no way out. But this experience has never been seen before the 20th century, right? Well, look for mythology, but nothing is the same. The same thing as Serenissimus. They have never talked about that. And that's why Monja said, she said, be careful, pay attention. This life is going to mark, is going to be very important. But the more people come against us, sooner or later, you will feed them, right? But you need to be careful not to scare them. You need to take care. Food is there. On page 38, the end of factology, could you elaborate on the self-positionings, which are not common? The unusual self-positionings. Well, you have your routine, your daily routine. There is a time that you may have an atypical day in which you are not acting your normal level, okay? You have changed. this change can be positive or negative. Me, myself, I have written in some entries. It's not only the mental somatic turn. There are other things related to the problem of changing the rhythm. Within this dictionary, I have been writing this technique. For example, you found a theme you want to develop. You consider that theme is very important. But there are new things you need to research, to read, reflect a lot, see what happens, maybe look for bibliography. So I recommend you to first try to rest and sleep more than usual. It's a technique, okay? Spend a whole day doing nothing. Vacations. You don't answer your phone, your mobile, your computer, nothing. Take a rest for a whole day, and you should not think about the subject. Then, if you can, very early in the morning, you wake up and you deal with the subject. First of all, you write the theme down on a paper and leave in your office. Only after the whole day you will read the paper. This way you will have an uncommon, positive, prolific behavior and positioning that will enhance your competence in terms of intellectuality. This is not in the encyclopedia yet. I have just written for the dictionary. I am doing several techniques. I have talked about 2 or 3 things, but in the dictionary there are 4 steps. But Waldo, would it be just like a cleaning, a standby? Well, you should make you should clean your mind completely. When you start reading the paper, you will be motivated. Just think about that. Waldo, what is the name of this technique? No, name of technique. There's something about recovering. I need to see. It's all in terms of ologies. But I know that in the end there is an argumentation, and in that case it's a matter of self-experimentology. When it has 900 pages, I'm going to publish it. It has 350, okay? Letter D. In this case, in Uberaba, the guy received a book from the extraphysical. Why did he write that and didn't publish? Well, I started receiving books from the extraphysical when I was 13, psychography, okay? There was this night when the extraphysical consciousnesses came and told me to burn my files. Everything I had received, they said, burn everything. And I had this confirmation with the energetic shower. I had almost 1 meter height with paper, poems, messages, novel. Everything should be sent away to show that it was not mine. And many things were very elementary. I didn't have the ability to show exactly what I wanted to tell, and I burned everything. I remember it was after 1947 because I had already finished school. I was alone and I could burn in the upper pavilion. But in the other case, it was more like an issue of evocation, right? Yeah, it was to clarify his life. But for others, if you read the book, it was too negative. It reminded me of Rochester. There are books that are just like that. There is another guy that did here in Brazil. Another guy about the hell. No, it's not his name, Legion, no. Ranieri. I knew him. I'm also against those books. So I thank you very much. Until tomorrow. See you tomorrow. Our ads, please. Today we had 122 signatures in the present book, 40 present questions, 42 online questions, 43 present books, and 9 online votes. We have several invitations here. Christiane, Miriam. So we ask you to remain silent to listen to the messages. Good afternoon. I would like to remind you that today is the traditional debate day, Sunday, that happens in CEAEC. So today at 3 p.m. we have the theme Existentialism versus Existentiality. It's a promotion in partnership with CEAEC. Come debate with us by 3 p.m.
Olá, pessoal.
Hello, everybody. My name is Regson Alves. I am coordinator of the 5th Journey of Education that will take place from 7 to 9 October here in Foz do Iguaçu. We will debate principles, experiences, theories about conscientiological learning and teaching. If you have any affinity with this theme, you should come and contribute with your experiences. We have 3 conferences, 4 panels, and further information you can get in touch through the email reaprendencia.org, and you can check our website. Reaprendencia is with T, and you can call CEAEC also. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. We are here to invite you. It's very special. It's about the ECPT from Rio de Janeiro, and after participating in several ECP2s, I have participated in ECP3. It's amazing. 200 people taking that course. It's lots of energy, lots of assistance. If you make research on extraphysical assistance, don't miss this course. We would like to invite you and to all the intermissive students, even those who have never made any course, of those people who have seen the Tertulias, especially those from Rio de Janeiro who want to know more about conscientiology.
I would like to remind you that the CP3 is taking place in Rio from 16 to the 18th of September. It's an event so that a project could be undertaken in Saquarema, the IIPC campus there, which is the laboratory of peace. Those who would like to get to know conscienciology and who have never participated in any conscienciological event, this event is a great business card. There is this phone number, 2102 1488. The code is 045. So all of those who would like to participate are invited. And the professor, the epicenter, is Professor Alexander Steiner. Everybody's invited, Tertulians and Teletertulians alike. Good afternoon to you all. One more invitation to remind those of you who live in Foz to revise the data you have there, which is fixed on the Tertuliarium walls down there. So please, we would like all of you to revise your info so that we could fill in this list, and please add the information that's missing. Sometimes the people goes there but doesn't complete the data that's in the blank spaces. So please fill in all the cells so that we could have the complete list. Thank you. Good afternoon. I am here to talk about the course Projection Therapy. Again, I am here to promote the course Projection Therapy course that will take place in September, from the 2nd to the 4th of September. It is self-projection therapy. There is the energization with the consciential therapists. It will take place in OIC campus. The phone number is 3025-1404. The code is 045. The website is www.oic.org. Thank you. The entry for tomorrow is Integrated Self-Potential, Subdiscipline Intraconscienciology. Thank you all. Good afternoon.